Sonic Advance is owned by SEGA and Sonic Team. Even though this game is rated E for everyone, the commentary in this recording may contain mature phrasings and ideas. So, as always, viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back, everybody, to the Sonic Advance Let's Play. Today, we are playing as Amy Rose the Hedgehog. So, if you hear a difference in my voice or audio quality, I just figured out what I was doing wrong with the, microphone I have. Of course, it's a Samson Meteor microphone, and I've been really dumb about using it. So if you notice a different quality in my sound recordings at all, well, there you go. That's sort of the defined reason. Now, as I've been sort of talking about in Amy's sort of gameplay styles, she doesn't have a spin jump, she doesn't have a spin dash. What she can do instead is use her hammer, and if you hit a spring with her hammer, if it's vertical or, whatchamacallit, diagonal, you launch off of it. It's actually very useful for getting different parts of the stage. If you hold down and hit the attack button, which is B, you can do sort of a high jump. You can do this while moving, but you have to be a bit precise with how you do your inputs. Otherwise, you'll be kind of messed up. Instead of a spin dash, Amy has this short little hop that she can follow up with sort of a diving attack. Which, while it can be useful to bounce off of enemies, it's ultimately sort of useless in this playthrough other than a couple of instances where I don't want to get just destroyed by enemies. So, I thought I wouldn't like playing as Amy as much in this game as I sort of do, because that high jump really comes in useful for getting over enemies. Plus, she has this, aerial down B that allows her to bounce off of, enemies multiple times, especially boss enemies, which makes, very short work of them in most cases. I can't believe this is the 4th time I'm playing through these stages. This is actually the last time you're going to be seeing me play through all of these stages. Mainly because, I mean, this is it. There are only 4 characters to play through. And that's actually very advantageous, because the next video, I'm going to be showing off, how to get the first Chaos Emerald, and then I'm going to be, fighting the final boss live for you guys, which is going to be a kind of scary process, in all honesty, because I've never fought the final boss in this game, because, let's be frank, collecting the Chaos Emeralds is a chore, and I don't want to do it, so, hey, there we go. Ugh. But yeah, this game, something I wanted to talk to you guys about, because this will be coming out Thursday, June 4th, is that the next day, yes, I'm going to be putting up the final video, but I'm also, you know, leaving to go away to work at a, summer camp. And I just wanted to talk to you guys about, breaks in general. You'll probably see a quick vlog about this coming up, where I get a bit more in-depth. But, taking a break, if you're not going to be able to reliably put out content for any sort of video series and whatnot, it's fine if you take a break. I mean, I watch Let's Players a lot who just sort of take brief or longer hiatuses to where they can't really to where they don't really want to put up videos, or they otherwise can't. Which I think is a totally fair thing to do. I'm going to be trying to put out a video once a week after the Sonic Advance playthrough is sort of done. So, if I don't get too mad. I mean, I'm going to kind of miss being able to record stuff all at sort of once. And, be able to get content out regularly to you guys, but I need this time to be able to work, because I don't have reliable internet at camp, because it's a summer camp. And why should we have reliable internet? I mean, there's no point. So, at this time I'm going to say thank you everybody who's watched this series so far, and if you're watching this in the future, well, there you go. It's gonna date this playthrough by quite a bit. But yeah, it's just, I'm gonna need this time to sort of figure out how I want to do videos and playthroughs and whatnot in the future. And hopefully this will allow me to do different types of videos where I'm able to do different types of things. Like if people want to do like an Ask video, I can certainly answer questions about whatever you have. I mean, I have an Ask.fm account after all. So maybe we'll see more use with that. I might want to do a sort of reaching out to the fans thing, which would be fun, but I don't really know how to do that, which is why I'm going to be, you know, trying to figure this out. I don't know, words. But I'm going to try to learn how to do more of these types of things so I can put out better content for you all. And, I mean, that's kind of it. That's kind of the point of this break, other than trying to earn something called money. Even though, frankly, it's not worth it to make sort of a living out of making my time being used at a scout camp. That's not even a good sentence, but whatever. Whatever. So, it's gonna be a process trying to get different types of videos out. And when I'm at college, videos are gonna take like 5-6 hours to upload, which is a lot. It's not, you know, that's not insignificant amounts of time. So, we'll just have to see how everything goes. But I do want to start putting out more types of videos, and I want you guys to let me know, how am I doing with this series? So, please, even if you watch this for a couple of minutes and decide to alt-tab away from this for the rest of your life, let me know how I'm doing. I mean, I'm just a human dude, much like you guys, or if you're a gal, or of a gender that is neither, or both at the same time. I don't really know how that works. But I think even if you don't know how that works, you still can be accepting of that, right? So please, if you've enjoyed or haven't enjoyed any of my series, please don't be afraid to leave comments. Don't be afraid to let me know how I'm doing, what you think I could do to improve. And ultimately, we'll see. If it's, you know, I want to be able to improve. I want to be able to put out content that, you know, everybody sort of wants. Or at least people will enjoy watching. And I think that's actually an issue of, this pausing. Ugh. Yay! Thank you for short pauses, video game. But, if you want to ever do Let's Playing or anything, you have to realize that it's not as expensive of an entry as you think it is. I mean, you can just play computer games. I mean, you may need a better computer than just something for emulators, admittedly. But that's how you can get a start. You don't have to have a ton of money. You can use Fraps, you can use XSplit. You can use another sort of video software recording type of thing. Because, you know, you're not just limited to what the sort of stuff is, and then you eventually just save up enough money and possibly buy a capture card. I don't think it's necessary, though, for, you know, people have to be afraid of this sort of cost of entry. Yeah, you're gonna need time. You need time to do anything. But if you really want to do it, you're gonna find a way. I mean, I should be a testament to that. I'm recording Sonic Advance off the computer at 30 frames a second, and somehow it doesn't look bad. Which is good. So, never think that you have to pay a ton of money just to get into something. I mean, yeah, I paid money for a microphone, but it makes my voice sound better. If you haven't listened to my previous videos where I've had issues, apparently, hooking up my microphone, it doesn't pick up everything and all this weird white noise. It allows my voice, you know, to be heard and to be properly put through. I just probably should get a desk, not just for use of working on, but because having to sit on the floor next to a table isn't, you know, prime. It's not really comfy. That way I can also use a chair I have, and then just sit at a desk and record, and feel natural, and have the microphone much closer to my face, and maybe facing down. or even right in front. I mean, I'm doing this now. It's an obvious change in the vocal quality of the recording. But again, if you maybe are an Xbox gamer and you have a headset, you can use that for recording. You don't need to go out and buy all this fancy schmancy equipment that a lot of people do, and you should never feel, you know, afraid to get into something. So yeah, that's my inspirational moment of the day, and that's all I got. But yeah, sort of a love of Sonic. Yes, I played the original game. Yes, I played Sonic 2. But I sort of became more of a Sonic fan with these in addition to the adventure games. Because everybody talked about Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, because that's what, you know, most people had on the GameCube. That's where the game got popular. But it was the Sonic Advance game that really got me into the franchise, because I could take it wherever I wanted, because I had a Game Boy Advance. I eventually got my brother's SP when he was done with it. So, it's what I had. And it really got me back into the franchise after, you know, having a PS2 for I don't know how long. So, yeah, that's kind of it, really. Actually, my history with this game is, I didn't buy it, you know, immediately or new. I actually bought it used from a GameStop in like 2005 or something, like, not even like 2005, but like 04. But I originally played this off of my cousin, because they owned this game. I think they had it just about when it came out. So I had a chance to play it before I realized, hey, I really want this game. So that's sort of my history with it. It was actually really interesting because I actually ended up buying Sonic Advance 3, not having played the second one, but having played just this game. So, because I liked it so much, and then when I went back and played Sonic Advance 2, I didn't enjoy it as much, because Advance 3 spoiled me. So, that's my history with these games, and I think that's totally fine. I think that, honestly, we should be able to, I don't know, be able to appreciate and enjoy these games for being good Sonic games, even if they are handhelds and suffer always run right syndrome. I still think they're very fun games because they take the games back to their roots and then they add some. This game tried to do a lot with how characters moved and played and momentum. And the third one definitely does a lot with sort of how the characters synergize. But don't just take my word for it, you should just play these games. They're very fun. I think they're very, because Sonic Advance is now on the Wii U eShop, I think it's very accessible to people because, you know, lots of people have a Wii U after Smash Bros. Launch. I mean, even still, you can get this game used, and because it's a cartridge-based game, it's not gonna, you know, die out on you, hopefully soon. But you're able to get it decently cheap off of sites like eBay and Amazon. Although I wouldn't suggest getting it new, because it's like $300 for a brand new cart and box and everything. I would not recommend it. I got lucky finding whatchamacallit. I got lucky finding Minish Cap, one of my favorite Legend of Zelda games, for like 30, 40. I think it was like something like between 20 and $30, brand new. I got lucky finding that for basically MSRP. And then I realized that it wasn't like $40, it was only 20, because the game was used and it just had the original box, which I thought was completely worth it. Because those old boxes, right? But with Game Boy Advance games, actually, random tangent, I wish they came in, you know, game cases instead of just boxes. Because, you know, these game cases fall apart because they're just cardboard. They're not, plastic or really anything. So there's no point to save them. Which I think is quite sad because some of the box art's really cool. And then just the plastic sort of game containers that you could buy from literally anywhere back when Game Boy Advance was still the prime handheld. It was they were sort of soulless, lifeless sort of things. They didn't have any character, they didn't have any pizzazz. They were just sort of boring and, you know, translucent. Not like the DS cases and the console game cases we have today, really. And I resent that. I hate that so much because I like collecting games now. I think it's a fun thing. I think it's, you know, it's something I can have that I can show off, but it's something I can also play, and I just show off yet again that if you go flying off that edge, you die. I will also say, if you plan on collecting games, that sites like Amazon and eBay are going to be your best friend. And also local game shops, because you're able to find stuff pretty cheap. For instance, I live near Richmond, and because I live near Richmond, I live near a place called Carytown, which is basically a shopping district. Which is actually really nice, because they have this used game store down there, which you can get games for, back in the day from the PS2 for like 15 bucks, and the discs are still amazing. I mean, that's kind of unheard of nowadays. Because if you wanted to get a decent copy of, like, Sly 2, you go on the internet and you pay like 30 bucks for it, and you can't even get, like, the greatest hits box. You have to get the original one, which isn't good. Especially because, you know, the Sly Anniversary Collection is out. But I digress. Eventually I'll get to that once I have a console capture card. So be sure to look forward to that sometime in the future. But until then, I'm just gonna stick with handheld games. I don't remember if I show off if I drown in this part of the playthrough. I think I do. Because of sheer irony, see, an air bubble comes up right as I jump and enter the dying state, which is finicky to say the least. Which is why I always recommend collecting air at an air pocket whenever useful. I also die again here because I'm bad at video games. But enough about that. But back to sort of the original point on YouTube. You know, you see all these big names like Markiplier and Smosh, and, you know, people like Chugga Conroy and the Runaway Guys and Jacksepticeye and like Proton John or Maximilian Dude. You know, all these people, you know, they've sort of made this Let's Playing thing, you know, they've made it their job, and of course they're going to spend the money that they have on this sort of capture card content and microphone content so that they can bring you better Let's Plays. And never think like you have to go out and get all this stuff. It's not a barrier entry, or an entry barrier, I guess is the proper term. But I mean, you are eventually going to need stuff the more you want to get into it. It's one of the more expensive hobbies because you need a system, because you need games, because you may need capture software or a microphone, or even a headset. But never feel like you have to be sort of spending all of this money to get in on something, because I'm doing emulators, you know? Of course this is an emulation, and I'm recording using the free version of XSplit. Why? Because paying for stuff isn't really necessary in my book unless I know I'm going to be, you know, forever using it. No, eventually I want to come back to this game and I want to do it properly. I want to be able to get a Game Boy Advance player for a GameCube. I want to be able to get a capture card that can record it in very good, you know, in a very good quality. I want to be able to put out this game properly. But at this point, I can't, and I don't want to let that stop me, because this game is fun and people should play it. As janky as some of the controls can be, it's a very fun game, and it's something from my childhood that I enjoyed. About this boss fight is Amy, because you need to eventually get air, you can just use Amy's high jump, which is her down B, to hit the surface and get more oxygen. Of course, I end up sort of not needing it because the boss is a joke. You just jump up and hammer, jump up, and hammer. You don't even need to jump off of a platform, which is, in my eyes, very useful. Yes, if you ever want to get into Let's Playing, there are so many options. You can just play a computer game and record that using something like Fraps or, again, XSplit. If you have a computer that can support all that stuff, you're going to have to think about what game you're playing for that. If you want to record online gameplay, you're going to need to have a very good internet connection. Otherwise, lag is going to be very noticeable. The recording console stuff, well, you're kind of out of luck because you got to go buy a capture device. My advice with capture hardware is that you get what you pay for, and it means exactly that. That if you buy a cheap capture device, you're gonna get cheap quality in both how it works and in type of stuff you can produce. So it's stuff that you can ask for birthdays, stuff that you can save up for if you got like a part-time job or a summer job. So just don't be afraid ever to save up money and then just do other things until then. And it's actually rather surprising because the video quality of what I'm recording, it's not actually horrible for, being free content. Or comparatively free, I should say. And being able to jury-rig everything. It's worked, marvelously in my case. Although, results may vary. So, know what you're getting into. My best advice is, if you want to do a Let's Play, just pick a game. Pick whatever game you want, and then figure out how you can record it. If you want to do a handheld game, perhaps look for an emulator first. If you want to do a computer game, have at it. Heck, if you want to do a browser flash game, go for it. You can play browser flash games for YouTube. You can do that, and people will be like, Right here, I try to do something dumb, which is, try to, sort of high jump up to that item capsule. You can't really do that. You can only fly up to it, which is, like, a really weird shortcut in and of itself. But yeah, considering you don't have a spin dash, you kind of have to do these sort of bizarre short hops. And that's not fun. Can't believe I'm almost done with this Let's Play. I really can't. Because it's been a lot of fun. It's been, honestly, a treat for me to do something like this. And more so because people watch it. It's not a whole lot of views, but I'm also not a really big sort of YouTuber yet. Actually, quick sort of story time that I do want to talk about is, in Richmond, there's this, there are a whole bunch of these outdoor type festivals. And I went to it one last year called River Rock. It's something of a big thing here. A lot of people go. There are also a lot of posers and a lot of people who just like going to things and saying they go to things. But I went and they were having this this sort of tribute to people who were in the armed forces. And I thought that was pretty cool, so I participated in it. It was kind of neat. But I ran into a kid there. And, we were talking, and, we were talking about video games, and he said, I've heard your voice before. And, I told him, I've worked on a project with a lot of other people, and I asked him, have you seen a series called, have you seen the series that I worked on, that sadly is no longer up on YouTube? It was a Kirby's Return to Dreamland playthrough. And he said, yes, he recognized me. I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm McGurganatorZX. And he was like, he was surprised because he met, someone he watched on the internet in real life, and, what I was doing, it wasn't even big then. It was maybe, You know, the people who were following were maybe 20 subscribers at most. And then we got an occasionally large amount of sort of view type of stuff. But, that's sort of what happened. And it was kind of wild, even though I wasn't anywhere near big at all, that people, you know, have heard of me, that people have seen something I've done, you know, and just added this element of, you know, this thing is real. You know, I got to meet someone who watched me be kind of a doofus in a Kirby game. And that was awesome. That was really, really, really cool. I thought that was one of the sort of the best things that could have actually happened to me. It was, even if I was small time, I met a guy who watched my video for the internet, you know, and that was really cool. That being said, if you know, recognize my voice and meet me somehow in public, if you already haven't, because I know a bunch of my friends actually watch my videos, and I think that's pretty cool of them to do. I don't like asking them to do that. But, like, if you meet me, you know, ever in real life, never be afraid just to say, hey, I know you from the internet, and I'll be like, hey, that's awesome. As annoying as that voice was, I'll be like, hey, that's really cool. It's like, you know, that's, you know, the internet's a wonderful place, you know, as bad of a rap as it gets sometimes, you know, you're able to meet all of these people, you're able to participate in this wide public forum, and even, like, the people who are massive haters, you know, I can't see why they do that, because they get to have their voice heard, they get to be on the internet. You know, and if it's something that's particularly, because that's a word I can't speak, that's, if it's something that's, you know, incidentally very well done or very popular on the internet, and you say something, you're sort of immortalized in the comments. And if it's something so wildly positive or negative, you know, you're halfway immortalized. Which I don't like, but it's very strange. It's a very strange thing. But the fact that a guy, just this kid, randomly recognized me out of playing videos for the internet, it was surreal. You know, I met someone who I hadn't ever seen before who said, I've seen your content and I thought it was good. You know, I have never met a random person who has, sort of done that. So, I want to be able to meet all of the random people who just sort of watch my videos and, you know, find some sort of enjoyment out of it, whether it's enjoying my videos or if it's making fun of what I do, you know? Either way is good, either way works. And hopefully I don't play these games bad enough for you guys to say, hey, this guy sucks. Let's make fun of him and laugh. No, I don't think I do that. But then again, if you're going to do that, I'm not going to stop you. I mean, it's the internet, it's a free place. And plus it helps me deal with criticisms. This is a nice little tangent. You know, this is the final time I'm playing through this wonderful set of stages. You know, the Egg Rocket and the Cosmic Angel, favorite stages in the game, and I'm gonna miss them dearly. They are my top two, this is my favorite zone in the game, and I'm gonna miss it. Other than the fact that I have to get Chaos Emeralds. I don't want to do that, but I have to. But, playing this game for you guys has sort of made me realize that I don't, you know, hate this game as much as I wanted to. You know, even though, yes, it has a lot of inspiration from classic Sonic, it's not something I would say is incomplete. Actually, far from it. But it's still very noticeable where it comes from. It's not very, it stands out, but only because it's a handheld Sonic game. It's not a console. And I think that's a sort of a gross injustice that, you know, that I wasn't able to see that this game is unique. And I regret that. I really do. I regret saying that this game didn't have its own unique feel, because out of all of the handheld Sonic games, I'd say this one is the most unique. It is the one that is one of the few games I have played that has that, yes, it knows where it comes from, but it adds something. And I should say it's one of those few games that does that from, you know, its own developer. Which sort of brings me to another point, you know, all of these tribute indie games, are they bad? Not exactly. And a lot of them are very good games in their own right. It's that, to be a good game, I don't just see myself having to enjoy it. I feel like it has to do something new. That if a game doesn't do something new, you know, why was it made in the first, or if it doesn't do something and it doesn't add to the formula, you know, why does it exist? So, like, an example of this is the Metroidvania titles. Yes, Super Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night are very unique games, and they both play immeasurably different. But there are so many Metroidvania clones these days, it's kind of ridiculous. But, you know, then comes a game like Guacamelee, where, yes, it's Metroidvania, it has a lot of very similar influences, but, you know, it's got a very distinct theme of, you know, Mesoamerican sort of luchador culture. And wrestling in general. It's got these mechanics where it's not just you fight these guys, but you do, you know, wrestling moves to an extent. Which, you know, that I think that's a significant addition. You know, you have, you know, the fighting game genre with, like, Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Persona 4 Arena, and what have you. But, then comes along a game like Skullgirls, which, while it's good, and mechanically it shows the evolution of fighting games as a whole, it doesn't really do much for me. Not because it's a hard game, because yes, all fighting games are very difficult to play and to learn, but it just didn't make me want to continue playing it, because I felt like I had seen everything before. And indeed I have, and maybe not all present or all together because of character quirks here and there, but I didn't find myself enjoying the game as much as I would a Street Fighter title or a Marvel vs. Capcom title, because it didn't feel good, it didn't feel unique, I didn't feel like it added anything to the fighting game genre. It was, and well, yes, it's just a good game, it didn't do anything new, it didn't warrant me wanting to play it. You know, you have games like, but then you have a game like Freedom Planet, which I love to death, and was originally sort of a Sonic tribute game. And then it evolved into something which was Sonic the Hedgehog and Gunstar Heroes and Rocket Knight. And yes, it paid homage to all of those, but it felt like it was unique enough to stand out on its own. It didn't feel like it had to rest on the laurels of other games, it just had other mechanics and was good. It's the same thing with a game like Shovel Knight, where, yes, it's a marvelous game, and yes, you can clearly see the influences, but it stands on its own. It's its own thing. It's not just an homage, it's not just a parody, it's itself. And that's what a game should be. It shouldn't just be an homage or a parody. It should be itself. It should be able to stand out on its own. Here we go. We're back and we are ready to go. So, what I was talking about earlier before the whole pause thing happened, which I think I might add in later as a blooper. But, the concept of a game just, it has to be itself. You know, it's like an anime, because there are plenty of parody animes out there. To name two, there's Blood Lad, and there's, whatchamacallit, there's Blood Lad, and there's, Binbo Gamiga, which I forget the American title of. which I feel bad about because it can be really funny. But those types of anime, they, yeah, you can get away with just sort of constantly referencing and parodying something, but it has to be able to stand out. It can't just be, oh, lol, to animes. It has to be, oh, hey, look. It subverts things, but it has its own deal. Which whatchamacallit, Binbogami does, and Blood Lad thinks it does, but yet it doesn't, and it's painful. But sheesh. But when you have all these types of games, you can't just make a game that doesn't stand out on its own. What is it? Bloodstain, what is it? The new not Metroidvania that's coming out. I can't remember the name of it exactly. It's like Bloodstain, Order of the whatever. But hopefully it's able to stand out on its own. It's not just, hey, remember when this guy made Castlevania? Because he does, sort of thing. Trying to actually think of other games that, in my eyes, should stand out but don't. You have a game like Ukulele, which should stand out. I mean, it's a reference to all the great sort of 3D platformers of the N64 that Rareware made. But right now, the way it's shaping up, it just looks like it's a thing that says, "Hey, remember when we made 3D collectathons?" Because Rareware does, and I don't like that. There's a game. I don't remember if it's out yet or not, because I haven't heard a lot of news from it, but it's called A Hat in Time. And it sort of feels the same thing, but it actually looks like it's its own thing. It has its own lore. It has its own characters that stand out, even if it is sort of in reference to the old collectathons of yore. Which, it's one thing to be a reference, it's another thing to be itself. You have Mighty Number 9, which, yeah, it looks a lot like Mega Man X. But, so far, it looks like it'll be fairly unique. Which I like. I think it should be unique. Coming from the mind of Keiji Inafune. But, if you're gonna make a game, developers, make it stand out. Don't just say, hey, remember when this game used to exist? Yeah, we do too. Because that's pointless. Because you're just making an entry that just selling off of nostalgia alone. It's not, and yes, a game can be good mechanically, and the formula can be well loved, and people will buy it. But if it can't stand out on its own, in my eyes, it shouldn't be made, and that's just an opinion I have as a video game. When you think back to the classic Red and Blue games, what did they do after that? They capitalized off the anime and made Pokemon Yellow. Yeah, it was a little bit different. Yes, it had different features, but it doesn't really stand out. Especially because that game came out around the same time that Pokemon Gold and Silver did. At least I got it around the same time, a little while after I had Gold and Silver. Or I had Silver, my bad. But I tried to play it as a kid. I still haven't beaten it, and I have no desire to use it for something other than a shelf piece. Because it doesn't stand out. It doesn't do anything for me. Like how Pokemon does those third title remakes? I don't feel like most of the time those are necessary because they don't add anything. You had Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, and then you had Emerald. Emerald, I feel like was the weakest of those because it didn't really add anything. It just allowed you to get both legendaries. I mean, I guess it had a better Battle Frontier, but as a game, it didn't really do anything for me. Fire Red and Leaf Green did because it was a complete rehaul of Generation 1, and it played better, and it worked better, and there were better Pokemon. And I like that. You had Generation 2 with Crystal, which admittedly did a lot. It did a lot more that Gold and Silver did not. You have the Generation 4 games, which I think Platinum is the best third title that you can ever ask for. Because it overhauled the story. It made it so that you didn't have to do all this really roundabout stuff. You could just play through the game, and it wasn't as slow. It was really fun to play. you know, you have Black and White, and then Black and White 2 added something, and then Pokemon X and Y, which it was cool, but that's a different reason. I mean, speaking of Pokemon Red and Blue, this will be going up around the halfway point of mine and President Bocelli's Red and Blue Soul Link from Nuzlocke. So be sure to catch that out. You'll hear my opinions on Red and Blue, which I think should be played once and should never go back to. This is although, do I share that with this game? No. I believe this is a game you can constantly go back to because of how short it is, because of how quick you can get through the story mode, because how, frankly, fun it is to learn new strategies to how to get through levels faster. I feel like it has a really good replay value. All Sonic games do. Plus, because the stage music is so good, you're not going to really mind having to go back through Sonic games anyway. But, something, that's another thing I think developers have to consider, is that, are people going to keep playing this game, or once they finish it, are they just going to shelf it? Which, either way, I mean, the company still made its money. But, are people going to keep playing this game? Are they going to keep talking about it? Is it going to stand the test of time? And I don't think all games do that. You have games like Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, or Sonic Adventure DX and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, for us GameCube people who didn't have a Dreamcast. But, those games sort of stand the test of time, but people constantly talk about them. If you hear someone bring up the GameCube, they'll bring up Adventure and Adventure 2 Battle. Why? Because Adventure was not honestly horrible. I mean, a lot of people just sort of like to laugh at the plot and only say how half of the game is really worth it. And I sort of disagree with that. I think 2/3 of it's, or I think 5 of the storylines are actually worth it. I don't think playing as Big was necessarily worth it, but all the other characters feel pretty good. Sonic Adventure 2, people like to talk about how good or bad it was, or how nostalgic it makes them feel. And I think that's wrong, but at least it's still being talked about. It's still relevant. Games like Assassin's Creed, because a new one comes out fairly often, I don't think matters as much. And because Ubisoft has had this really weird policy as of late for fixing the bugs in their games, I feel like it's fine that we don't get a new one every, 8 days, or every year. Because they have been sort of less about what they've stood for, and just sort of the cash cow for Ubisoft, which I think is wrong. I think Rayman should be, a Ubisoft cash cow. Because it's goofy. Because those games had stuff to them. What's the newest thing in Assassin's Creed Black Flag? Oh, you need to use a ship and it tells you what to do every second of the day. How much of it's you playing and how much of it's you just following the prompt. So, that's just sort of my opinion on the concept of video games and how the game should sort of liven up or make you want to keep playing. Otherwise, just sort of play games, see if they have good shelf life or not. And if they do, good, you found a good game. And if not, well, you haven't. Why do people still keep talking about Dark Souls? Because it's still relevant. Why do people keep talking about, games that came out over a decade ago, like Marvel 2 or Street Fighter Third Strike? Because, they're still relevant. They're being good games. They're not just flash-in-the-pan things. And because I think developers think that they can just release games as often as they want to cash in on consumer interests, I think that's a really, really poor way of going about things. Because you have EA, which releases sports games once a year per franchise. What are they? Roster updates. Pure and simple. Roster updates and stat modifications. No, it couldn't have been DLC. You couldn't have made DLC for these types of games. You couldn't have put out, like, paid things where you have a handful of new players that come in. You couldn't have done that. You have to release a full $60 price tag game every year, and we let them get away with that. You know, that's for any of the sports games that come out once a year through EA, because they do a lot of them, and people buy a lot of them. Why? Because sports and video games, whoa. And I think that's a shame. You know, Call of Duty, we brag on them. A lot of times, the games aren't bad competitively. Hey, cat, hey, stop scratching it. No, that is our couch. You do not scratch it. Trials and tribulations of owning a cat while trying to do commentary. But, you know, games that come out once a year, I don't think need to happen. You know, you have a new Call of Duty game just about every year. There's a Call of Duty Black Ops 3 coming out. How can they go anywhere with that? You know, I've played 2, I've played 1. They're good games, yeah, but they don't need to be coming out every single year. Sorry, having to mute. My brother is out here trying to grab stuff. Matt, you might want to get the bell because the cat took it off because it's a... Yes, because it's a cat. Thank you for the vocal silence of my brother Matthew, aka online as the Foo Fightin' Titan. Shameless plug for a non-Let's player. Yeah, hey, it's good for you. It's like eating vitamins. Matt, it's the same thing on, whatchamacallit, Stim. Oh, it's not? Oh, okay. Well, I'm not gonna plug that then. Ah, the trials and tribulations of owning a cat and having a brother who doesn't like doing things. Bye, brother! Sorry if I, clipped things. He's kind of a stick in the mud. But, with games that come out once a year, they're not necessary. You know, yes, granted, you'll have a different Call of Duty game coming out every year. You know, for a different series, but, you know, they're mechanically basically the same. They're class-based multiplayer shooters. And yes, it gets refined, but it's just sort of boring because the previous ones don't have a shelf life. You know, I could probably go back and play World at War, and everybody would be like, why are you playing World at War? You know, new Call of Duty games out. Or I could go back and I could play Modern Warfare because the story in that wasn't total balls. And people would be like, why are you playing Modern Warfare? The new one's out. So I can't... No, you can't... If your games don't have a shelf life, why are you making games? Why are you making games just to cash in on the money? If games don't have a shelf life, why should they be out there? You know, it's like putting out milk a day before it expires. Yeah, people are gonna buy it full price, but only if they're really desperate for milk. Which is sad, to say the very least. Ugh. Other weird policies I don't like. Atlus's policy of putting out a Persona game on the previous console than what's already out. Because Persona 4 came out on the PS2 at the end of its life expectancy. Persona 3 is coming out on the PS3 when it's getting close to being phased out in favor of the PS4. No, yes, the PS3 is still being supported. I like that. But it's very close to being out of context and out of being wanted of use. You know, I get that it's to get the most out of the system, and I like that. You know, it's people pushing the boundaries of the video game system right at the very edge of its lifespan when they know they can do that. But it's ultimately moot because everybody's going to own a PS4 and people are going to have to wait years to get a new Persona game on a PS4. And hopefully not when it's, you know, at the end of its life. Sort of other weird things, Nintendo's insistency on putting out a new Mario game every year or so. Yes, it's not like one comes out exactly every year, and the games are varied enough, but when you have new Super Mario Brothers and new Super Mario Brothers U, and new Super Mario Brothers 2, and Super Mario Brothers, new Super Luigi Brothers U, it was sort of pointless, because one game sort of outdid the others. But that's sort of the end of my rants. Thank you guys very much for sticking through these sort of level playthroughs of Sonic Advance. I'm going to be, of course, uploading the, uploading the final video on Friday, June 5th, with how to get the first Chaos Emerald and possibly how to get the others, depending on how I'm feeling. And then, fighting the final boss completely live, which, that's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a very good experience. And until that time, this has been a real good slice of stuff, and McGurganatorZX out.